Today we are going to talk about the Aleph by Jorge Luis Borges. This is a strange and philosophical story about infinity, memory, grief, and the human desire to see everything. At the center of the story is something called the Aleph, a tiny point in space where a person can see the entire universe all at once. It sounds magical, but Borges uses this idea to ask a deeper question. Can the human mind truly understand everything? Imagine looking at one tiny point and suddenly seeing everything. Every place, every face, every moment, every memory. Not one after another, but all at the same time. That is the impossible idea behind the Aleph. It is small, but it contains something infinite. And that is what makes the story both fascinating and overwhelming. The story begins with the narrator remembering a woman named Beatrice. After her death, he keeps visiting the house connected to her memory. This is important because the story is not only about infinity, it is also about grief. The narrator wants to hold on to the past, to memory, and to someone he has lost. So before the story becomes cosmic, it first begins with something very human: mourning. The narrator later meets Carlos Argentino Daneri. Carlos is a poet, but he is also proud, dramatic, and obsessed with his own work. He claims that there is something miraculous hidden in his cellar. At first, this sounds suspicious. But Carlos says that this point allows him to see every place in the world. This mysterious point is called the Aleph. The Aleph is hidden in the cellar of Carlos's house. It is described as a tiny point in space, but inside it is something impossible. It contains every place in the world. Everything exists there at once. The Aleph is infinite, simultaneous, and almost impossible to explain. It is one of Borges's most famous symbols because it turns a small space into something limitless. When the narrator looks into the Aleph, he sees everything. He sees places, people, objects, memories, and scenes from across the world. He sees beauty and horror. He sees the ordinary and the extraordinary. But what makes the experience overwhelming is that he sees all of it at the same time. This moment shows the limits of language. How can someone describe everything when everything appears at once? This story is powerful because it turns an impossible vision into a meditation on knowledge, memory, and human limits. The Aleph reveals everything that exists. But even if the narrator sees everything, he still cannot fully understand or contain it. This is one of the story's deepest ideas. Seeing everything does not mean understanding everything. Knowledge can be infinite, but the human mind is limited. The Aleph symbolizes the desire to know everything. It represents total vision, total knowledge, and the impossible dream of containing reality. But it also symbolizes the limits of human understanding. The narrator wants to describe what he sees, but language is not enough. The Aleph shows us that reality is too vast to be fully captured by words, memory, or imagination. We should still read the Aleph today because its message feels very modern. Today we live in a world full of information. We can search, scroll, watch, and read almost anything. But having access to everything does not always mean we understand everything. The story speaks to curiosity, obsession, information overload, memory, and the human need to grasp the whole world. In one simple idea, the Aleph is about a mysterious point that reveals the infinite while reminding us how small and limited we are. It shows the beauty and terror of seeing everything at once. It also reminds us that memory, knowledge, and reality are too vast to fully control. That is why the Aleph remains one of Borges's most unforgettable stories. For more simple lessons about literature and stories, follow Lingualistica. See you in the next one.